Well, Vice President Harris signaling she will not be going to the border anytime soon, even though she's going to be traveling to Mexico after Guatemala, saying she's focused on results, not grand gestures. With me now is former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf. Chad, good to see you. I'm wondering how serious our vice president can be about the border if she doesn't go to the border.
Well, I certainly agree with you. I think, again, addressing the root causes of this illegal migration is one step in the overall solution here. But visiting that southwest border, talking to the men and women of Border Patrol and the law enforcement agents, as well as the migrants, she needs to understand what is causing them to make this very dangerous journey. Is it jobs? Is it economic opportunity? Or is it the persecution that they're talking about? And so she can talk with some of these individuals firsthand. So as she talks with Guatemala and others, she has a firsthand account of what some of these migrants are going to. But probably the most important to visit that southwest border is to show support to the men and women of Border Patrol. These are law enforcement officers that go to work every day, that are facing a historic crisis and surge of individuals at that border, and are doing their very best to keep that border under control and secure and safe. And having the vice president or the president of the United States come down there and show their support goes a long way for these patriots. And not doing that is just, it's not the right move.
You know, I have seen a list of agents and seen their pictures next to them who have died in the line of duty. There are dozens of agents, a lot of whom have Hispanic surnames. The point is that people on the left have denigrated the character of border agents and denigrated the character of ICE agents. We need them desperately, and they are putting their lives on the line at the border every day. Just to emphasize your point, don't they deserve the respect of a visit from the vice president?
Well, absolutely. These are sworn civil law enforcement officers that are simply following the law and trying to enforce the law. Laws that Congress has passed regarding border security, regarding deportation and removal of individuals that have no legal right to remain here in the United States. And those are ICE law enforcement officials that do that. And so they're carrying out their duties, and they don't deserve the criticism and the harsh words that even members of this administration during the campaign and in previous roles, certainly gave to them. So they don't deserve that.
Chad,
they deserve the respect and the support.
If she goes to the border and talks to these border agents, they're going to tell her a story about a border in crisis that she doesn't want to hear, that the administration doesn't admit exists, right?
Well, they certainly could. I think they will tell her the unvarnished truth of what's going on down there. And obviously it is a border in crisis. But that's part of her job, right, is to understand the reality of what's going on there so that she can make informed decisions along with the president, and certainly on her international trips, and start talking to them with some firsthand knowledge. She had visited the border as a senator and as someone during the campaign when she was running for president. There's absolutely no reason for her not to visit the border as a sitting vice president.
But, you know, we've had these tremendous increases in the number of encounters with immigrants. Of course, the tragedy of children that have been deserted by their human traffickers along the border, some of whom were close to death, and yet they won't recognize it as a crisis. Secretary Mayorkas continues to say that we have a closed border. Is there any agent along that border that would agree with him?
I don't believe that there is. And I think the messaging coming out, and we heard Vice President earlier in your segment talking about do not come. The problem is their messaging does not reflect reality and the policies that are going on. So if you're a minor or if you're a family member, the odds of you being released into the United States, getting across that border, are very, very high. And the Border Patrol agents and officers that are working that border know that. And so when they hear leadership, either from the department or the White House, say that the border is closed and secure, they know that that's not the reality. That's not what they see each and every day.
Chad, finally, I just want to play a soundbite from the vice president earlier today of how she is addressing the border crisis. Let's listen.
The president and I discussed the importance of anti-corruption and the importance of an independent judiciary. The United States will create an anti-corruption task force, the first of its kind. Our Justice Department, our Treasury Department, and our State Department will work together to conduct investigations and train local law enforcement to conduct their own. Our task force will support Guatemalan prosecutors, including FICI, and listen, no corruption.
Chad, it's got to be quick, but I covered Latin America for 12 years. I can't tell you how many task forces on corruption or commissions on corruption I've seen. It didn't change a thing after years and years and years. Do you think this one is any different?
Well, I think that's yet to be seen, and I'm all for anti-corruption task forces and measures that you can do that, but until you secure the border, until you enforce that law along that border, these migrants will continue to come to the border knowing that they can come into the U.S. and stay here.
Chad Wolf, good to see you, Chad. Thank you very much.